Hi, I want everybody to see who I am. Hi, everybody. Now that you see my face, I think that's enough. Welcome to learning how to edit and submit your articles to Middle Pause. I'm Debbie Walker, and with me is Marilyn Flower and Meg Stewart. You can ask questions in the chat after we finish talking. Hey, I want to take a few minutes to discuss Middle Pause and what it's all about. When I first started on Medium, I was a brand new writer. Now, 4 years later, I created Middle Pause together with my team, the podcast Stomp, Stronger Together on Middle Pause. We published a 3 book anthology of our writers, and I have a team of 5 dedicated women. I'd like to introduce them to you and their superpowers. First off, we have Queen Meg Stewart, who rules in her kingdom called technology. Next is Marvelous Marilyn Flower, senior editor, funny woman, and resident spiller of wisdom. Then there's Margie Pearl, the merry minion, who is our podcast engineer extraordinaire. Our fourth member is Cindy Heath, the marketing martial artist, and my personal cheerleader behind the scenes is Krista Bennett, the Thundercat. And I am the Flash because I run to the future and bring the vision back to the present. We've changed the lives of many of our writers and readers. Like Margie says, we are a sisterhood in print. Our passion is women. Our mission is to encourage, inspire, and empower women in the middle. How do we do that? By showcasing your stories on Middle Pause. Like Marilyn says, we want you to be successful and make your story shine. Take it away, Marilyn.
Thank you, Debbie. And I just want to lift you up because you've been such an inspiration to me. You've had to overcome a lot, and you show up here and support all the women in Middle Pause. And you've been our fearless leader all these many years since we've gotten started. I'm not sure how many that is, but we're starting to be a presence on Medium. And if anybody just saw Tony's presentation when he got to the publication page and put that slide up, Middle Pause's logo with our sunflower was right there in the left-hand side of that page. That's significant, Debbie, and that's a mark of the mark that you've made on this whole platform on Medium and on the lives of women. So pat yourself on the back.
Oh, I'm humble. Thank you so much, girl.
All right. So today I'm going to talk about some tips for you to look at your stories before you send them in to Middle Pause. And I created a series, and I used images of dogs and puppies to kind of brand them within Middle Pause, and there's self-editing tips. And self-editing tip 10 is the guideline and summary and has all of the tips created so far listed in them. I'm going to ask Meg to put the link to that. It's pinned near the top of Middle Pause, but I'm going to ask Meg to put the link to that. That's my reference guide for what I'm going to share today. And please put that link in the chat so people can click on it if they want to.
Yep, it's there, Marilyn. I'm also going to put in the link to our submission guidelines.
Great. Okay. And then I also have an article about what I look for as an editor. And I want to start by saying it's an honor to be an editor in this publication. And I came into it just as a writer, not having that much editing experience. But then I started editing people's stories, and I learned a whole lot. And I also feel like kind of like a midwife and kind of like a granny in that process. And I take some pride when the stories are finished and they're sparkling and they go out, and it's fun to see the response, especially in comments, which is an increasingly important thing in Medium now, is the comments and the community building that happens when we share our stories and we engage with each other. That's a really important thing that we do on Middle Pause. So let's dive into them. The first tip I want to lift up is please put a bio in your story. A lot of people forget to put their bio at the bottom. When you get to the bottom of your story, click on those 3 dots and then write or copy and paste if you've done one already, a short, catchy bio with some highlights about who you are and what you're up to. And it's fine to put some links in there. You might have a newsletter, might have a website or a book you've written, something you want to share with us that we can get to know you better as well. We like to know who our writers are and what they're up to. The next tip is about headlines. And headlines are the first way that people know what your story's about. So the big piece of advice on this one is make sure that your headline actually reveals what your story is about. And the subheadline can amplify that from the headline. It's interesting, and I do this myself sometimes. Sometimes I write the headline first and then start writing the story. Then I always go back and check, because did I wander down some other path and decide that was the path I wanted to be on? If so, I need to go back and change the headline. In terms of formatting, the headline, when you highlight that, you want to click on the capital T, and the subheading, the subtitle, I should say, and your subheads can be the lowercase t. So make sure you've distinguished them. And if I see where something hasn't been in that lowercase t, I will always correct that for you as part of the editing process. But see if you can take care of that. The next thing I want to talk about is white space. A lot of our readers, something like 65% of our readers, read on mobile phones. And so long paragraphs, long blocks of text are kind of intimidating. What we like to see is short, snappy paragraphs, white space around the story. Subheadings can help do that as well. Of course, images help do that as well, although we don't like to have too many images. But let your story breathe. Let there be space around it. As an editor, if I see long-winded paragraphs, I will either invite you to break them apart, or if I see an obvious place to do it, I'll just go ahead and do it. But this is something I'd appreciate if our writers would get more thoughtful about the white space around your stories. Please, please, please. Subheadings within the stories are becoming increasingly important. And I'm going to have to change this tip, because we had, up until recently, been fine with people using 3 dots as a break. But now we're really serious about encouraging you to have headings in your stories. Think of them as stepping stones to help your reader move through your story. Some people like to skim, and having those subheads can help draw them into the meat of your story. So please use them. It's another opportunity to guide your reader, to educate your reader, and to bring your reader deeper into your story. And of course, every story gets to have a photo or an image up top right under the title and the subtitle. Medium is linked to Unsplash, so it's really easy to, there's a little icon you click on and brings that up, and you can type in a topic, and then you can peruse through pictures related to that topic. You can bring your own pictures in. It'll take you to your own photo file. You can bring in other images from other websites like Pixabay or Wikicommons. Make sure you put in the caption the source of the picture. Please put the photo credit. Who took the picture? Not who owns the picture, who took the picture, if at all possible. Photo by author is fine if you took the picture. If you want to put a caption that talks about what the picture represents, or make some comment in reference to your story connecting the picture, that's fine. Do that. I do that. In the body of the story, I try to limit it to 3. So I'm going to encourage you to do that. Unless you're doing a how-to story, or you're documenting something like Barbara recently did with her flood in her basement where her art studio was, and she was showing us the damage and the cleanup process, then those photos become part of what you're illustrating with your story. Okay, we've had A lot of discussion about tags and topics recently. When you write a story and get ready to submit it, there's a space for you to put 5, and we use these words interchangeably, tags or topics. 5 topics about what your story is about. So you can use middle pause. We encourage you to do that. You can use women. We encourage you to do that. There's menopause, if that's what your story is about. There is a master list of tags and topics that Medium uses. And Meg, you're going to put that in the chat again for us, please. And
Yep.
There's some obvious omissions on Medium's part, and Debbie's gonna write to Medium and make sure that obvious tags like women and menopause are on that list so that people can find us. But please use all 5 tags. Those are ways that people browsing by topic on Medium can find your story. So use all 5 tags. If you forget, I'll throw in one like women or middle pause or an obvious one. But do make the tags related to the content of your story. Titles and tags are promises to the reader, and we want to keep those promises. Speaking of stories, the next tip is about having some personal story or personal connection to your topic in your story. And often our articles the whole article is a story about what happened or what we did. And that's great because that's what Medium is looking more and more for. Tony gave a talk earlier today and he said, we are the experts in our lives. So we're all experts in something, and we're especially experts in our lives. So they're augmenting the concept of expertise to include personal, real life experience as part of the value of expertise that's important on the Medium platform. Now, if your topic happens to be about something that you are an expert on and it's technical or it's very specific or it's maybe health related and you're sharing wisdom, put yourself in that too. Why is that topic interesting to you? Why are you writing about it now? I sometimes write about health issues because either I am or my mom happens to be experiencing them, and I start with that personal story. I think that helps draw the reader in when it's right up front. Or tell us why this topic is important to you. And it might be something that we had to learn the hard way. We did something and it didn't work. We had to go learn how to do it right. And this is the result of that. We're sharing that story. So by all means, a couple of things about getting ready to submit. Read your article over. Make sure you've spell checked it. There are some free programs that do that. I use Grammarly. Some people use Rite Aid, and they'll pinpoint those typos and those punctuation issues and things like that, spelling. It's easy to do and it's quick and it saves time for everybody. I do a lot of that in editing, and I'd be just as happy not to need to do a lot of that as an editor. That's something you can check before, and then I'll just catch the ones that might have been missed. Another suggestion is read your story out loud. When we write our story, we're mostly looking at it, and our eyes can skip over obvious mistakes. Our eyes can get used to them. We might put 2 words that are exactly the same, like you, right in a row, and our eyes will just erase one. But if you read it out loud and you hear you, and that's not what you meant to write, you'll hear it and you'll know to take one of them out. That's a big help. And some people, for another proofreading thing, some people do is read their story from the bottom to the top. If you have time to do that, you're going to find out how helpful that technique is. All right, make sure you're getting paid for your posts. I do believe Medium has dropped the 100 follower requirement to be in the partnership program, which is what they're calling their program of how you can get paid. So make sure right before you submit it, there's a box that comes on and to check that you're putting it behind the paywall so that you can get paid. We want you to get paid for your work, just like we all do. All right, so that brings me to the bottom of my list. I'm going to stop there and see if any of my co-presenters have anything to add or any questions, or if there's questions from the audience.
Yeah, Marilyn, I did want to add when you're talking about the getting paid part, it's a good idea once your article publishes in a publication, whether it's ours or somebody else's, to go in and check and make sure that your story is still behind the paywall, because there was a glitch for a long while where stories that were behind the paywall, once they got published by the publication, they would jump back out. So just it's always a good habit to be in, to just once your story actually publishes, go in and double check and make sure it's behind the paywall.
Is there a way to eyeball that quickly?
You should be looking for the gold. You'll see a gold star next to the title of your post, and that should mean that it's members only. It's behind the paywall. So if you don't see that gold star next to the title of your post, when you see it in your story list, then you'll want to go and check the setting under edit story, and it'll say manage metered setting, I think is what it says, and you need to go and check that box. All right.
I just wanted to invite all the women writers that are listening or attending to write for Menopause. Meg can put in the our address is menopause51@gmail.com. Request to be a writer. Send me your profile information and I'll add you. So thanks.
All right. We did have a couple of questions. So let me scroll through and get them. One of the questions I do remember was about the boost guidelines. This is from Sharon. She thought that the boost guidelines didn't support links at the end of stories. And I let them know that we did clarify that directly with Medium. So, Debbie, if you want to let them know about the links at the end of the stories and what's okay and what's not.
Okay. I talked to Medium because I was telling all the writers, do not put any pretty links or embedded links at the end of your article. Well, I was wrong. They told me that you can put embedded links in the body or embedded / pretty links in the body, but if it interrupts the flow, we don't want it in there. And also, if you want to tag some articles at the bottom or put some pretty links at the bottom, don't do more than 3. And also, Meg, you were telling us about putting links at the beginning. Can you talk about that?
Yes. One of the things that's becoming super, super important with the changes to Medium as of August 1st is that your earnings are going to be based on reads. So you want people to stay in your article for as long as possible. You want them to read all the way through, but you especially want them to stay in your article for that 30 seconds that it takes for them to be counted as a read. So what we want you to do is make sure when you're doing your introduction, if you put a link in the first couple paragraphs or the first couple sentences of your post, and you're encouraging people to click that link and go somewhere else, which means they're going out of your story. And they may very well come back to your story, but Medium is not going to see it that way. They're going to see it as somebody came into your story, they clicked the link and they left. They're going to see that as not a read. They're going to count it as a view, but not a read. And when they do your read ratios, they're going to divide the number of views by the number of reads by the number of views. So you don't want people to be counted as a view and not a read. So don't put links in the very beginning of your stories, like in your introduction. Save your links for down later, where people have read most of the way through your post. They've seen your story, and then offer them the link to the resources that you want them to have. Just as a way of encouraging people to keep reading through and not clicking out early on in your post. Does that make sense?
There's a question.
Yes, it does. And also, Margie has a question. about length requirement. I think it should be no more than 9 minutes. I think that's a maximum 9 minutes. Usually, to help your story to be boost worthy, is we want your article to be at least 5 minutes long. And that's one of the first things they look at it, and the title. You've got to have a clear title to talk about your article. For example, I wrote a story, how I lost 70 pounds to prepare for surgery and I gained a ton of wrinkles. That tells you what the story's about. And so, it's done pretty well. So if they know, they've got to know what your story's about. If they start reading and your story starts off as something else, then they're going to lose interest and click off. So pay attention to your titles and subtitles. Thanks.
Yep. We had another question from Tony, who said they listen on their laptop and assumed it gave writers 100% read. They just read somewhere that this is not true. Can we confirm or deny it? I don't have any personal knowledge of if you listen to a post, whether that counts as a read. I'm going to say probably not. But Debbie, have you heard anything from Medium as to whether that's, if somebody is listening to it, like audio, is that still count as a read?
I have no clue.
Yeah, we
have to find out.
Something we can check on. Carolyn asked for the email address again. It's middlepause51@gmail.com, and I did put that in the chat. Right? Tony, it's middlepause, then 51@gmail.com.
Is there a hyphen?
No. Right? No hyphen, Debbie, right? Okay. Is there a particular age a writer needs to be for middle pause? Debbie, you want to take that one?
Well, our audience is basically like women 45 and older. But if you've got a story that's about your experience with your mom or your grandma or something, that's great. We're just not into the parenting or of little children. And I mean, well, I take that back. I talk about my grandchildren all the time.
Right.
So it's generally 45 and over, but that's not set in stone.
For our audience, but not for a writer. Like somebody's 25 and they want to write for middle pause, they can, but they need to keep in mind that our audience is an older audience, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a question in the chat that's not in the Q&A, and I want to make sure that this is Tony's question about make a visual artist, and their posts are punctuated with graphic designs. And are we encouraging of that, or are we saying that that's not something that we want? And I would say we're encouraging that, because I don't know the distinction between an embedded link and embedded art, but I'm assuming that it may be clickable to go to a page that focuses on that, but it's also illustrating the story, right, and enhancing the story and showcasing your creativity. So I would think that would be an enhancement, and that would help draw readers into the story to engage with that art as well as the words of the story.
I would agree with you, Marilyn. I think we would want embedded art, especially if it's pertinent to the story. Another question is, please explain how a Medium publication works for an author to get paid. To me, it looks like the publication gets paid, not the author.
That's not true.
Yeah.
The publication, and we're all here, it's a labor of love. We do not get a dime for hosting and editing the stories and putting together the publication. We get paid for our stories. It's not a lot. It sometimes looks like pennies coming in, but we get paid again, and Meg can go into this for the reading time. Right.
And that's the author gets paid. We as authors, like if we write a story, we get paid for it. We do not get paid as we do not get paid for your story that you put into Middle Pause. What happens is you put your story into Middle Pause, but it is still going to show up on your personal profile and on your stories page as, Janice Hunt published in Middle Pause, but it will still show up on your personal profile as well as showing up in the Middle Pause publication. So when Medium does their statistics, they are keeping track of how many people are reading your post in Middle Pause. And that money comes to you, not to us. And in fact, as editors of Middle Pause, we can see some statistics on how stories are doing in our publication, but we cannot see how much stories have earned. You are the only one that can see how much a story has earned, because you're the author. So, and that money comes to you, not to us. Hope that makes sense.
This might be a good place to say that we are pleased that we've been invited to be part of this preliminary boosting program. So we do get to recommend stories to the boosting process. We're not the final arbiter of it, but we recommend them to Medium. And if Medium accepts the recommendation, and we've had a pretty high success rate on that, then the stories get boosted, which means more people get to see them, which hopefully translates into more money for the authors.
Right. Okay. Are people still having trouble seeing the chat?
Okay. Go ahead, Meg.
Sorry, there were some people that were having trouble seeing the chat. I'm just wondering if there's still people that can't see the chat. Mino asked about an example of a gold star. I'm not sure how to share screen on this platform. But if you go into your Medium, log into your Medium account, and then go to your profile picture, and then go to your stories page. So this is the place where all of your stories are listed. You should see the gold stars there. Or if you just go to your profile on Medium where all your stories are listed, you should see gold stars next to your title of each story where it's listed. Yes, Marilyn.
Yeah, I'm looking at my self-editing tip, and above the title, it says in really tiny type, member only story. And to the left of that is the little teeny tiny star. And it looks almost like a plus or a cross because it's 4-pointed, but it is gold.
Yeah.
That's the icon that says this story is set up to be paid.
Right. If it says member only story, or if it has that little gold, maybe it does look more like a plus sign now, but the little gold star or plus, yeah. I didn't realize it actually said member only story, but yes, anything that is member only story, that's behind the paywall. So that means you're getting paid for it. Gwen says, when in the partner program, do only paying members see the stories or only partner program members specifically? So they just changed this. Oops, we lost Marilyn. Hopefully she'll be back. They just changed this, Gwen, on August 1st. It used to be that you could write on Medium and get paid for it without having to be part of the partner program. So the partner program was where you pay $5 to read unlimited posts. So you could read anybody's post on Medium that you wanted if you were paying the $5. That was the partner program. Writing on Medium was totally free to do. You could write on Medium. You could get paid to write on Medium without being in the partner program. On August 1st, they have combined those two things. And what they did, there's Marilyn back again. What they did is they took away the 100 followers requirement that was there to be in the partner program, but they made it a requirement that if you want to get paid to write on Medium, you do have to pay the $5 and become part of the partner program. So if you were not part of the partner program before and you were getting paid to write, as of August 1st, you do have to join that partner program, and it's $5 a month. Join that partner program, and then you will start getting paid again for your stories. So make sure that you do that, especially if you were not in the partner program before. But you do not have to have 100 followers. So that's gone away. Do you have to change the settings for each story to put behind the paywall, or can you do it for all the stories that you write? Generally, what happens is once you pay the $5 and you join the partner program, all of your stories will be behind the paywall by default, but you do need to check because there are some times where that pops out. Marilyn, go ahead.
Yeah, what I've noticed when in the process of submitting, you send it to a publication, and then you press submit, the green button, and then you get the box where you put your 5 topics in. And under that are 2 more boxes. The top one is, do you want this to be in the partner program? Half the time that box is checked. The other half the time it's not checked, and I have to manually check it. And then the other one is about emailing it to your subscribers. Yes, go ahead and email your stories to your subscribers.
Yeah, go
Our
ahead,
time's
Debbie.
up. It's our time's up. I hope they don't just cut us off.
No, I
don't think they will. I don't keep talking. I don't think they will.
Okay, well, I guess this is it. I've really enjoyed being here. Thank y'all for coming. And I hope we do this again. In fact, we might just do something like this on Medium. Schedule a time everybody can get together again. Okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thanks so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, we should go head out.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
I don't want to leave.
I know.
Well, we had 50 some people. I think that's great.
Yeah, it was at 60 one point. I saw 64. So we still have 3.
They're leaving now.
33 people here.
Yeah.
Our last holdouts.
Okay. Well, enjoy the rest of Medium Day. There's great workshops.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff going on, you guys.
Yeah, and Janita and Margie are going to be later on this afternoon, and they're also going to talk about editing. So check that out.
Yes, I think they're at 7 or 7:30. Janita, are you still here? Or Margie? 7 or 7:30, I believe, is Eastern time. 7:30, Janita says. So 7:30, if you want more Middle Pause information, you can visit them. They're going to also talk about editing fiction.
Ooh, great. I'll be there.
Me too. Oh, Cindy Heath is also on at 4:30 on the memoirist. I can't say that word, memoirist panel. So go see Cindy over at 4:30 on the memoirist. You will love that as well.
Great. Okay.
Eastern, right? 4:30 Eastern.
Yeah, those are all at Eastern times, I think. So
Yep.
we have to translate.
Gwen, I don't know if you're still here, but if you are, only the readers who are paying the $5 see the partner program stories. That's what the $5 is for. Okay, sorry, I missed that earlier. Oh, Cindy, it is 4:30 Pacific time, Marilyn, for hers.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What if readers come from Google? Can they see the articles? I think they can still see 3 a month, right, Debbie?
I believe that's right.
I think they could see 3 articles a month for free, Cindy, and then they get a thing that says, if you want to read more, you have to join.
And Catherine says, yes, that's the case. Yeah.
So
I haven't kept up. Well, guys, I got another one I want to go to right now.
All right, Debbie.
So, all right. Bye.
Bye.
I'm just so thrilled that we got a chance to do this, and people actually came and we engaged and had good questions. So thank you, everybody.
We still have 19 people here. So the holdouts.
Yeah, I guess if anybody has questions.
How do you get out of here, Janita says. So maybe
there's a leave button on the upper right corner of the box.
Yeah, you should see a leave button. Top right corner. Or we could just end, and then if we go, then it'll shut down.
Yeah.
All
okay.
Right. Bye, everybody. We're going to shut it down.
Okay. Bye-bye.